Hello, Bulldog Nation. Week 4 of the football season. Port Arthur last week, Baytown lead this week. Coach, last week we going into the first conference game against Port Arthur, we knew what we were going to go up against. A little bit of adversity. We turned the ball over a couple times, turning into touchdowns for them. I still saw a defense that played very well, gave up their first real touchdown on the first drive of the game. But we're going to go through this a little bit. What was your positives coming out of the game from last week?
Well, I don't think our kids were intimidated by them. You know, when they drive up and they get off the bus, they're good-looking kids.
Yes.
The kid going to UT is, he's a specimen. And then they got the safety, the corner 13. They're good-looking kids. They can run. They're big and they're physical. And we knew that coming into the game. But our kids played hard. I think this goes back to we got to execute in certain situations that we didn't execute in. You know,
we give up the fumble, which was Bright was almost down. Ball gets stripped away by the young man you're talking about. They return it for a touchdown. We have a block punt. They score on a touchdown. Mm-hmm. I know I'm making you relive these moments as you know very well, but we still were in the ball game going in at halftime, and we've had those miscues. What did you see in the first half? What kind of adjustments was it that you looked at when you were coming out that?
Defensively, we weren't fitting a couple plays right. You know, they run what we call a counter sucker, where you're going to run stretch one way and quarterback counter the other way. Our inside backers, just weren't fitting that exactly right. We weren't getting a spill by our defensive end. So we made those adjustments. Offensively, it was just keeping drives alive. When we would get a first down, or we'd be in a position to get a first down, and we'd just turn the ball over, or have a big negative play that would set us back, and it's hard to get first downs. The kicker, our field goal kicker, he's doing a heck of a job. He bombed that first field goal.
Yes.
Right through there. What's bad is, before the first turnover, they went for it on 4th and 2 on their own 38, and we stop them when we get the ball.
Right.
And it's 6-3, and I'm thinking, okay, we're going to at least get 3 points out of this. We'll be tied. You would have liked to have gotten a touchdown out of it, but in one play, all that goes out the window. But I was proud of our kids. We did have some adversity. They kept playing hard. It wasn't like we ever quit or shut it down. But that was a good game for us to go back and look at and learn from those situations.
There was a couple of plays that really stand out in my mind that kind of changed the momentum. And people who that's never been on the sideline and understands what momentum can do for you, the fumble just kind of took the breath away from everybody on the sideline, because you're driving at that point.
Yes.
We're inside. We may be getting close. We're inside the 30 almost, inside of going into the 40. We have that little setback. You come back out of halftime, and the intensity for the first time from our point of view, and I cheat. I get it kind of seemed to dip a little bit and then pick back up when they realized that they're really not. They weren't as big and mean and strong as what we had expected them to be. I think we realized that we could play with them, and it was just a little too late as we come out of that second half. Second half goes on. What did you see that improved of not having to practice as soon as the game was over with?
When you look at our yards per carry for our 2 running backs between Bright and Garrett, they were both averaging about 4.7. One was averaging 4.8. So, when you look at that, and they each had about 8 carries, if we're just able to keep running the ball with those guys, we're going to be okay. We got to get better at our boots and our nakeds, and getting our quarterback out of the pocket and just taking what they give us. That's our big deal. Is just, if the fullback's open, give it to him. If the short route is open, just give it to him and let them go make a play. Sometimes I think we're trying to make the big play, and let the game come to you.
I think this is the first week where we actually played a defense that could stay with Greenwald. Terrence came in to run a couple routes, and they had enough speed to actually stay with us to check down to that second level. And by the time that was happening, the big kid on the end was there. He was on top of it. So it was one of those that when you talk about getting the naked boot out, I saw that a couple times where we're having to throw across their body really quick because he's on us.
Yeah, their speed.
Their closing speed was unbelievable. No major injuries this week, correct?
No, sir. We got out of the game extremely healthy. We were a little beat up on Friday, but we took care of it. It's like anytime you play a good football team, it's a little different when the guys. You could tell when they got off the bus that they were never shut down for COVID. You know what I mean? They've been lifting weights, they've been running, and it's the first time all year long where you could tell an opponent had not been out of the weight room.
Yes.
And so when you hit some guys that are strong and they're fast, it's a little different than normal.
And the other thing that stands out, I think they had about 38 kids I counted that actually participated at some point. Mm-hmm. But there was a couple that would sneak in every once in a while on defense, or they would stay on both sides, and it didn't. That made a very big impact on us, because I could see that, especially from where we were sitting, that they were not losing the endurance as they were going into it. So we get out of the ball game, no major injuries. We learned a lot from this week. We learned a lot about pride and some other stuff. I know you and I talked about that. That happens. It's one of those things. Do you learn? You get yourself back up and you go get prepared. And the thing about it is we turn right around and play the other undefeated team that's still undefeated. Baytown Lee is 3-0, and you have to get them ready. We're not going to talk about Lee yet, but what do you say to your kids on Saturday to make them understand that, hey, we just finished this one. Now you got to turn around and you got to be ready for this one. Another 3-0 team that if you lose this one, it kind of puts us in a bind here. What do you say to them?
Well, you want to be positive this week. We're trying to get some things going and understand that you can't ever go. I always talked last week about there are no redos.
Right.
When the play's over, it's over. There's no, hey, let's fix this and redo it again. It's kind of the same thing. We got to learn from the mistakes we made. We got to get better. And instantly almost, like we got to be better today, or else we're going to find ourselves in trouble.
Yeah. Folks, we're going to take a quick break, show you some, we're going to pay some bills, as my partner would say. We'll be back. We'll talk about Baytown Lee, see what this week, what it's going to look like for our underclassmen, and take you into the game. Thank you. We'll be right back.
If you're ready to become a skilled and safe driver, contact us at South Region Driving School. We are conveniently located next to LaPorte High School. We offer driver education classes and private driving lessons for teen and adult drivers. All courses are state approved and can be tailored to meet all your driving needs. At South Region Driving School, our top priority is always the safety of our students. We are currently practicing in-class social distancing. DPS has a very long wait list for driving tests. Don't wait, we can do the DPS-approved road test here at South Region. From the first time behind the wheel to the day of the driving test, we'll guide your teen to success. At South Region Driving School, we develop safe drivers.
As a Bulldog alumni myself, I know firsthand how this community steps up to take care of its own. At Gringos, we pride ourselves in doing the same.
Since 1993, we've supported numerous organizations and causes with the intent of making our community a better place. Whether it's spirit nights, donations, or sponsorships, Gringos stands ready to do our part. But we can't do it without you, our guests.
So next time you're catering lunch at the refinery or meeting up after the game, let Gringos do the cooking and help us change lives one taco at a time.
Go Dogs!
Are you looking for your dream home? Or maybe ready to sell your current home for a fresh start? Maine Properties is here to provide you a personal and stress-free process. Maine Properties has been servicing the LaPorte area and its surrounding cities for over 30 years with pride and spirit. Let one of our expert realtors here at Maine Properties provide you with the caring service that is tailored to what you need. Come see us in the heart of Old LaPorte at 1014 South 2nd Street and let us put sold on your sign.
Coach Baytown Lee comes in 3-0, played Galena Park
Santa Fe, and Friendswood.
And then they knock off Friendswood. Friendswood made a late rush in that game. I think it was a one score, 30 to 23.
It was 30 to 23.
So what have you seen on film? What do you see from Baytown Lee?
Well, I was at the game Friday night when they played Friendswood. And what they do bring into the game is the #1 offense in the district. They're averaging over 450 yards a game. Their quarterback is like the third leading rusher in the district, and he's the #1 passer in the district. He's the spearhead. He gets them going. He's a good athlete. He transferred in from Dayton. He played at Dayton last year. He runs real good straight ahead, but he's not as good moving side to side. But they got a good running back, #2, who's just right behind the quarterback in rushing yards. But they're throwing for about 270 yards a game. They got, of the 5 leading receivers in the district, 3 of them are in the top 5. So he's thrown 13 touchdown passes. One guy has 4, another guy has 4, and another one has 3. And they like to throw the ball deep, and those guys go and get it. So it's going to be a challenge for our secondary this week to match up with those guys. But we got a good game plan. I think we'll be okay. I think that's kind of the strength of our defense is our back end. 3 of those guys have been starters for 2 years now. So I think we'll match up well with the receivers. We gotta make plays on the ball when it's in the air.
One of the things that I've had people talk to me about, and I've gotten a few texts, they said, well, who has Lee played? Well, it doesn't matter. They're 3-0.
They're 3-0.
You're averaging over 400 yards a game. I don't care who you're playing.
Yes, sir.
So there's something clicking there, that something's working. As you got into to prepare this week, any changes moving people around this week that we should be looking for, offense to defense, defense to offense?
Defensively, we're moving some guys around. Eric Bryce going to play some more inside backer where he played last year. We're going to rotate more defensive linemen. We had a couple out last week for different reasons, and that hurt us late in the game. We were tired where we had been rotating them in the other 2 games, and they were fresh, but we didn't have that last week. So we're going to get back to that. We're moving Hayden Willett over to the offensive side of the ball. I'm going to move him H-back some and look at him at that position. Kobe Garrett's going to touch the football a lot more early, and then we'll rotate Eric in some when we need him. But we're trying to get Eric and Albert, you could tell in the game last week that they played a lot more snaps than they had going up to that. So we're trying to limit those snaps. So probably won't see Regis as much on offense as we had. We will play him in some situations. Bright will come in when we need him in certain situations, but he's going to play a lot more defense. So
with Regis being on defense more, what does that do with White? Does he stay in that, or do you move him?
Well, White's going to play some tackle. Which is the other defensive end, the weak side defensive end for us. And he's going to rotate with Albert a little bit. I mean, probably 3-1. And then, if Albert does go in for a couple plays on offense, White will be in until Albert's ready to go.
And Hurtado can move over.
Yes, sir.
What about the offensive side? And no major changes besides Willett coming in? Anything else that you saw that we may have to do scheme-wise, package or anything? What's Coach Jones been?
Well, we talked about this week. We're trying to simplify the things we're doing on offense. We're going back old school. We're going to huddle up and run the play in with the receiver and try to eliminate some of the mishaps we're having from the signaling and stuff. We're going to have 4 run plays, and we're going to have a couple of play actions and only 3 personnel groups. And we're trying to simplify the offense and get back to things that we can be really good at.
You said we're going to simplify it. I remember a couple of plays where we threw to where we thought the receiver was going in, and they were going in a different direction. That was going to be one of my questions, but now that you brought that up, you say you're going to have packages. Is it going to be about the same at what we had? Are we looking at the wides? Are we looking at big? Are we looking
what we're trying to get back to is 3 personnel groups. We have our pro personnel, and then we'll take a receiver out and bring in Willett, and that'll be our big personnel, which tight end, H-back, fullback. Yes. And then, we'll have our speed personnel, which will still have a tight end in the game. We'll have 3 receivers. But we do have some different substitutions. We'll have a different personnel where it's still speed, but it'll be Travis and Siafa will be in, playing receiver 2. Or we'll have big personnel and Regis will be the H-back. Just different things like that. But we're really trying to simplify down what we're doing and try to get really good at some things on offense.
He said pro. What about the bone?
We ain't to the bone yet. Not yet. You never know, though.
The one thing that you know, you and I speak about this quite often. We talk about different things and we have conversations outside of it. One of the things about this conference that's, you know, United wins this week. So they're in that undefeated in conference record. Lee and Port Arthur, and it's kind of a jumble right now with the rest of the conferences. Are these going to be, do you see these two teams that we're playing, is this the most dynamic teams that we see right now?
Well, I haven't seen Goose Creek Memorial in person, and you know they beat Galveston Ball 36-3 or something like that, 38-6. That's the only team I hadn't seen in person. You know, so I don't know a lot about them. I know they have a good running back and a good quarterback, and on defense they're going to blitz a lot and play man. I did get to see Beaumont United this past weekend versus Sterling, and I mean they're like they always are. You know, they're fast and big, and they're athletic, and they can run. So, I mean, when you start looking at the district from top to bottom, I mean there are no easy weeks. You got to be prepared, and you got to be ready to play every week, because on any given Friday, I mean you can get beat. So. That's going to be important for us going out. You know,
one of the things that, you know, the past 4 or 5 years, Lee has improved every year. You know, I don't think they won a game maybe 2 years in a row, and then they've kind of got moved up and moved up. And now they're sitting here 3-0. They have had some people transfer in, but there's something happening over there to change it. That school should actually be a 5 Division II.
Yes, sir.
5A Division II instead of 5A Division I, because they opted to go up, correct? So they're actually even smaller than what our conference is.
Yes, sir. So, and Coach Finn's done a good job with them. They play really hard, and you're going to notice this week that they have less guys than Port Arthur did. I mean, they're about 34 on the sideline. They got O-linemen playing D-line, and most of their skill guys play both ways, but just really impressed with how hard they play the whole game, because that's a difficult thing to do.
And how many do we dress?
We dress about 48 kids.
About 48 kids. 48 compared to, I think I said 38 earlier, and then probably going to have less this week.
Yes, sir.
So underclassmen this week, as we move forward, I know there was some change, as usual.
Ever changing.
Every week, it's always changing. So freshmen, what are they?
The freshman white team is playing at Deer Park on Wednesday at 4:30 at North Campus.
Yep.
The freshman orange team is playing at Baytown Lee High School on Thursday at 5.
Okay.
And then we're going to combine our JVs and play one game against Baytown Lee on Thursday at 5 here at Bulldog Stadium. We had originally had Clear Springs for the JV white, but they had to shut down their JV white team. And I tried and searched and tried to find games, but it was so late it was hard to do. So, you know, that's where we're at right now.
And yet again, it's another week, and COVID has struck. And that's what's happening with Clear Springs. It's a COVID issue where they've had to quarantine.
Yes, sir.
And we don't have it is to the point, and I know how hard you've done it, and I appreciate it as a parent. I know a lot of people don't know this, but you look from as soon as you know, you get on the phone or you try to start finding people, and then we're at the point to where it's happening across Harris County and the surrounding counties that we're in. So this week, Wednesday, Deer Park, freshman white, 4:30. Tickets are at the gate?
At the gate.
Baytown's tickets?
They're online at GCISD Athletics, and they're not selling them at the gate. You got to buy them online.
You have to buy them before you walk in the door. LP Sports Net will be at Baytown Lee. I don't have everything ironed out yet with them, but we will be there to bring the game to you live. Tonight, this is Tuesday night, so volleyball is in the house tonight. I know you might not watch this until afterwards. JV will be here, one game. At what time was the JV game? 5 o'clock, and our tickets are always the same. You can walk up to the QR code, scan it, get in if you don't buy them in advance. And then no tickets for Friday night at the gate,
no,
right?
They're all in advance online.
And there's a cutoff time, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes,
they
sir.
Actually turn it off where you can't buy after the fact. All right, week 4, well, here we come. Baytown Lee, we'll see you next week right here. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't. We really appreciate you watching. See you next week.
Go Dogs.